学上学，上学为罗，上学为罗，除了上学都没空，什么都没空。上学为罗，上学为罗。
Good morning, everybody. I hope this video finds you well. I was thinking the other day about, some of these trolls. They kind of latch onto me and just pummel me with bullshit. And it occurred to me a great analogy to describe China. And so I'm going to use this analogy and talk about this. And my analogy is China as a house. I want you to imagine China as a house. It's just a big, massive house, crowded with people. Every room, from the living room, the kitchen, all the bedrooms are just filled with people. Moving in and out, all kinds of stuff. Okay? There's other houses in the community, of course. Every now and then, people walk by the house and look at the house. They may even go up and peer in the house for a little bit and then walk away as they look through a window. And that is most of what you see in the American and Western news. The people who walk by the house get some impressions and then they paint those impressions with what they want, the message they want to give. Occasionally you get somebody who walks up to the house. Maybe they're there for a couple of weeks, even months, and they're peering in the window. And they may describe what it's like seeing all the activity in the living room, or see the people playing in the yard, but that's it. My case, I actually went into the house, and I've been spending time in the house, through the living room, the kitchen, up the stairs, bathrooms, everything. And one thing I can tell you about this house, not only is it crowded, Lordy, there's a lot of people, you guys have no idea, but they're constantly redecorating. My Lord, every couple of months there's new wallpaper up, new carpeting going on up, new furniture. The old furniture is changed and recycled, new furniture comes. There's always new gizmos and gadgets, and the old ones are recycled. It's a constantly changing dynamic. So anybody who walks up to a window and peers in the window and then says that's the way China is and it was that way 5-10 years ago and therefore that way it is right now is wrong. China isn't like that. And that goes for people, my role, my job has always been in engineering, the engineering field. And for a while, I taught a little bit in China as I was first landed here, but my background is in electrical, aerospace, and of course I was an aviator. So your experiences, that's your skill set, and I ended up using those skill sets. So I travel around in and out of this house. Now there's people who are, say, maybe a teacher at a university. Well, do you remember what it's like at university? Do you remember what it's like? You're in the campus. You don't know what's going on in the city around you. Your life is the school. the dorm you live in, the classes you attend to, your friends. You very rarely venture out of that bubble. So anybody who says, well, I taught in university or I taught in school in China for 1 year or 2 years or whatever, yeah, they lived geographically in China, but they didn't travel in China except for maybe a visit or two. They don't really know what the China is like because all they see is that little window. And they get some good impressions because they do step out of China and they have worked with Chinese students, but their impressions are always based upon their little bubble. Using the house analogy, it is similar to thinking in terms of a goldfish bowl in the bedroom of the house. So they're the goldfish, they're in the goldfish bowl. They can tell you some of the things that's going around in that one particular room, but they're not interacting with it, they can just watch it. And that's what it's like with some of these people. They come there, they live in Shanghai for a year or so, and then they leave. They come here, they work in university, then they leave. They're not moving around, they're not buying property. They're not going to business KTVs, they're not going to KTVs. They're not eating xiao cow at 3 in the morning, okay? They're not riding public transportation. They're not, drinking baijiu every other night, okay? They're not integrating. And so you don't know, if you're somebody who hasn't been in China, all you know is China's a big house. And you're hearing all kinds of stuff. A lot of the stuff's nonsense. People who's never been in the house telling you what the house is like. And you see a lot of that. One of the common things I see is people who live in Hong Kong. Now, Hong Kong is part of China, but it is not the same culture as China. It's not the same culture, it's not the same society. They don't even use the same language, okay? So, you get some people say, well, I live in Hong Kong and here's what my impressions are of China, when they haven't really been visiting it for the last 5 or so years. Maybe they visited a couple of times before coronavirus, but they haven't visited it lately, and China has changed substantially. Basically, the rule of thumb is every 3 months, China has a seismic change. So 4 times a year, there's 4 major changes in the society of China. If you haven't been in China for 5 years, that means there's been 20 seismic changes. It's not even recognizable to you. I go to my house in Nanshan. I go there about maybe once every 6 or 7 months. I don't even know where the fuck the place is. The roads are different. The buildings are different. Got subway stations here when they didn't have before. There's even a river going through over the side over there that didn't exist before. I mean, what the hell? It's constantly changing and evolving. So basically, you might think that Hong Kong is a room in that house, but it's not. Hong Kong is a detached garage of that house. Same thing with Macau. Okay? And same thing with Taiwan, but I'm not going to get talking too much about Taiwan. So, Taiwan is even more detached. But the point here is, to understand news reporting about China, you have to think of it as a big house. Now, the United States is a big house. It's not as big as the Chinese house, because Chinese house is bigger. I'm talking about the contiguous United States, excluding Hawaii, excluding Alaska. Alaska is a whole massive landmass filled with nothing, okay? So that artificially inflates the size of the United States. But basically, the populated areas, China is much bigger than the United States. And the population is 5 times. Those of you who are repeating 4 times, it's not. It's 5+ times the size of the population of the United States, okay? have to start using recent data.
甚至在我梦里，祖国已多年未亲近，可是不管怎样也改变不了我的中国心。
Instead of going through some data that was dated to 1960 or something, okay? Come on, it'd be real, all right? So it's big, massive population. So the United States also has a big house, and the rooms are roomy. They're roomy rooms. And they're nice rooms. Actually, I will argue that while it's different, the Chinese house is made out of stones and cement and metal. The United States homes are made out of very, very nice and warm woods with nice soft carpeting. Very, very nice. Very nice. Even the McMansion. So the United States, if you could look at the United States, you can go ahead and say, man, that's one big McMansion. Well, the Chinese home might look like some kind of regional palace. But the analogies here, and the reason why I'm trying to say this is to say that the homes are different, but it doesn't mean one is better than the other. In fact, I will say that a lot of people who visit the United States home want to stay there because the United States home is so nice. Yeah, I know there's a lot of really bad and crazy people breaking dishes and stuff over in the kitchen. And I know you've got some slovenly, just ignorant people in the living room burping and guzzling beer and throwing beer cans all over the place. But the American home is very nice. But it's not better than the Chinese home. It's just very different. And using this analogy, I want to make it a very important point, which is, don't you think it's better that we take the good things from the American home and the good things from the Chinese home and learn from the good things and spread it out so all the homes benefit? I think that's the smart thing to do. Sure beats the neocons who think, well, I'm just going to close the curtains, lock the doors, and throw stones at the Chinese house. Those people have a mental illness. There's something wrong with them. So looking at this analogy, and you can take it further. You can say, okay, the American house, the drains are kind of falling off, the rain gutters are kind of askew, you got some holes in the leaky roof and stuff, but nothing in the American house can't be fixed. You just need to have some people organize and fix them. All right? It's time, people. It's time to take away the bad things that's destroying them in the United States, correct them, patch them up, and then get moving forward. The United States got a lot to offer. Actually, next week, it's going to be a test run for the Artemis rocket. I hope it launches. I think there was 2 failed launchings so far. Hopefully they'll get it right this time. It's pretty exciting, and I'm a big space buff, as you guys know. So good going, NASA. Make it happen this time, okay? All right. America needs some positive, not some negative. So I want to give a little bit of positive stuff here. All right? Stop being so harsh on this and that. Be the best you can be, okay? You really need to be the best you can possibly be. Okay? And that's my little narrative on nations as a home and what China is in the United States. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, people. Remember, Bible.